Hey guys, the Monk52 here, of course, and today we're going to discuss the Vermont. Obviously, I'm getting to loan of the Vermont for 2 weeks, so I'm very appreciative of that. It's very good, and as a result, I'm just going to put on CC Camel, put the flag on, so people know the reason I have the boat. But that's just it doesn't matter. Anyway, we're going to cover the boat. So it's got 12 18-inch guns, same sort of gun caliber as Georgia and Ohio, which was just released the last update, the Ohio. So we're getting another American battleship, which is meh, but, I don't blame them. To an extent, it's American player base is a favorite. Oh, American battleships are probably the most played ship type of the game. So yeah, that's what they're going to do. What I worry about after playing this boat a couple times, a couple matches, is its playstyle. Because the boat is undeniably slow, it's also undeniably powerful because these guns hit very hard, they're very accurate, and yeah, it's pretty good. It's also got a lot of health, 102,000, 103,000 health essentially. So yeah, and this glacial speed and long reload heavily favours you to sit back and snipe. So it's fine if one or two battleships sit back and snipe. But we have many complaints. Many people love to complain about this. It's a common complaint by the community. Is battleships, particularly in legendary tier, like to sit back and camp. Now, this debate, I'm going to go on and discuss my pros and cons for it. But I want to highlight the short disclaimer that, this is a debate. Put your comments. Comment on this. Let me know what you think about this. But I'm worried that because of the Vermont, and once it gets readily available, which will be in like 2 months or so over, once everyone has their hands on it and finished the research project, is Vermont going to make passive play even more prevalent? Because this battleship is almost uniquely designed to be incredibly snipey. Like it's almost required that you sit back and snipe with a Vermont to an extent, because you're so slow you can't disengage. You've got a long reload, so you need to take time with your shots. And the shots, you can see, the travel time's like 10 seconds. So if you are aiming at a normal range, like the 16 kilometers is normal for a battleship, you've got a 9-second, 10-second travel time. So you have to take a little more consideration when you're aiming. And your shots are far more valuable because they have such a long reload. This is a reload spec build. We'll go for the build at the end of this video, but yeah, you see what I mean? Like, you kind of had to get into a central position in Vermont because the American battleships are kind of slow. Well, they are slow. And particularly in Vermont's case, since you can't really influence the battlefield because you're so slow, you only influence the side you're on. You want to get yourself in a central position, which means you're also most likely to abandon camps and abandon your site because, well, it's Vermont, simple as that. So I'm really worried about when there's four per side or 2 per side, and those 2 votes are pretty much guaranteed to be hanging back sniping. Of course, there'll be players that will do, regardless of what the boat is good or bad at, the players that will be brawling, there'll be players that will be sniping. Just like a lot of battleships at legendary tier. Like there's certain battleships that are good at brawling, prefer brawling preferably. And a nameable example is the GK, the Colombo. People snipe with the Colombo, people snipe with GK. Is it the preferred playstyle or the almost optimal playstyle? Maybe not, but people will still do that. The thing about this boat is that it is kind of leaning in, very heavily geared towards sitting back and sniping, which for legendary tier is already a bit of a problem for a lot of players. A lot of players don't seem to like legendary tier or tier 8 because it is too passive. And tier 7 is a little bit better because there's so much variety, so a lot of ships can push in. But legendary tier, there still isn't enough variety, I feel, for it really to balance out the passive gameplay. But yeah, this is going to really encourage passive gameplay more so than I think any other ship at legendary tier. So it's interesting to see. Let me know your thoughts on that. I just wanted to touch on it. I wanted to bring this debate here because it's an interesting debate, and to me, it's a debate. I don't mean to upset anybody, but that's what it is to me. Simply just a debate there. So I don't want to raise too many eyebrows, but I wanted to bring the point up, and I thought it'd be interesting to discuss it with you guys. But yeah, as you can see, the game so far has been fine for me. Like, I've only done 16k and it's been 5 minutes, which isn't much. This isn't like the most optimal game at the start. You can see, like, if there isn't much on your side, or they're just bow tanking you, there really isn't much you can do. You can maybe switch to HE, but you really need to get these shots need to be on point. You need to be in a nice target-rich environment. You see this main shot here. I don't think I leaded it just right. I was just a little smidge off. And we're not running artillery plotting rooms, so our accuracy is not as nice as it could be. But we're on 30-second reload or 31-second reload as opposed to 36, so I feel it is worth it, but the artillery plotting might be nicer. In terms of the boat's playstyle, yeah, we've discussed that. But in terms of the game itself, we've done 25k. Like, yeah, we're trying to hit the DDs as well. We're just trying to hit some things, but you really got to make your shots count with this boat, and it's not easy to hit a destroyer when you've got 12-second lead time. So you may be missing a couple shots. You maybe see me missing a couple shots. There's two reasons for that. One, I'm not used to playing American battleships, and I need to get used to the lead time. It takes me a wee bit because this is a very interesting boat, and the shots are so essential. And two, I'm not good at them. I'm just not that good at it. Sometimes it is genuinely difficult. I think you'll have trouble, even with the best of players will have trouble aiming with this thing, because the shell travel time is so long. People have so much time to react to it. But if you're more used to playing American battleships, unlike myself, you probably have more luck with this than I would. I'm probably making a lot of proper mistakes. I think that was too low in retrospect. I think he's turning away, so that's going to be completely too low. Or... yeah, too low. But we still got a Citadel off that. Like, it was still good, but it could be a little bit nicer being a little bit higher. But then again, RNG can say things. The armor itself is pretty good on Vermont. That was a 15k or close to 15k hit on us, but it really, the armor itself is surprisingly good. It's not completely coated in 32. You can bounce the Yamato shells relatively consistently if you angle properly. Obviously, you can go over your nose. That applies there, and you get 5 over pens. A wee bit tad high that time, but still, I don't know. It's not a bad hit though. Like, the boat hits hard, and if you get to connect these shots, if you connect those shots properly, you're gonna have monster games. But the monster game depends on you being in the right position at the right time, and that is more down to chance sometimes with this boat because of how slow it is. Like, unless you spawn in a really popular side, your damage initially is gonna be so bad. You're going to have to move to a center position. Now, this shot looks absolutely wonderful. Look at that dispersion. Please give me something nice. There we go. That was that's a whaling shot there. If we did that at the start, which we maybe could have done, we could have maybe death struck the man. But yeah, the boat hits hard. It does well. It turns really well, and the torpedo protection is 40%. You may not be able to outrun torps. That's for damn sure. But you could probably outturn a fair amount of them. I've dodged a fair amount of torpedoes in this boat by simply outturning, because the boat is good at that, and it doesn't really make a difference how slow the boat is if you're trying to line up a torpedo run, because if you slow down or speed up, I don't know whether you're running this at half-quarter speed, then good luck. Yeah, if you're going forward or you're changing course and speed direction, you'll still dodge the torpedoes there. And I did see that shot in the Buffalo. You do get some very satisfying death strikes. The boat is fun to play, but the problem with this boat is having multiples on the other side and your side. Like, you can see here, I'm still being somewhat, like, I've been playing quite passive this whole game. I'm pushing in now, but there's only 4 ships left. It's a solo Vermont. Obviously, there's no Vermont on the other side. Like, having one passive player, or at least passive battleship at the start of the game, there's not really a problem with that. Like, I've already racked up 124k. We're doing okay. Not amazing. We've got 3 kills though, so like, we're doing some work. Maybe take a pot shot of aiming. I don't know. I think I'd make a couple mistakes in the summoner. It's not easy because, again, 7 seconds. That's the prediction in the future for a boat that is 12 kilometers away. Like, we're trying to try, and that looks like a decent shot, but we got 2 there. But yeah, I just worry about this boat being in more than like 4 Vermonts in a game is going to cause a severe problem when people are trying to push in. It's going to really demotivate aggressive play in this tier, which is already kind of suffering from passive play problems where people always play at the back, and any poor sod who pushes forward can get their butt absolutely destroyed. Like, we thought we could maybe arc that, but that's not happening. Yeah, Vermont doesn't go through islands. There we go. Important information right there. But yeah, I do worry about when this boat becomes more readily available and we're having multiple Vermonts, because it's going to be a very popular boat. I know that, and we all know that. So imagine having 4 Vermonts on either side. Yeah, you're going to have whatever the remaining ships is. You're going to get, like, is it 5 ships on the other side? They're the only ones that can push, unless we're going to have like 2 DDs maybe, I don't know. And yeah, it's going to be rough for those poor things and those poor cruisers as well. You pushed in, 2 Vermonts aiming at you. You really can't block these, because these are 30mm overmatch, 18-inch guns. It's going to cause it's going to rattle some feathers. I definitely think it's going to cause a lot more problems for Legendary Tier. I don't think this is the boat that we needed right now. I understand it's a boat that people enjoy, and I do enjoy the boat as well. It is, without a doubt, a boat that I wanted to see come to Legends, but I didn't really quite realise how this boat is going to affect Legendary Tier. I think what we needed is really different nations, different boats. Like, we could have had Venezia. Venezia would have been a solid boat. A wee bit biased on Venezia. I do want that boat, but we could have Venezia. Honestly, I think the community is asking for Kremlin, Hindenburg. There's a lot of different options they could have went with for the next Legendary. And deciding on another Legendary American battleship when we just had the Ohio, a Legendary battleship which has the same caliber guns as the Ohio. In terms of similarities, it's very similar. And it just doesn't seem like the right pick. Don't get me wrong, it is a good boat, and I do enjoy this boat. And I think having 1 or 2 Vermonts total in the team wouldn't have really do anything. I think it would do really well. But I just think I worry about having a game with like 5 Vermonts on either side. It's going to be incredibly passive play, and I do worry about that. But let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. Is the Vermont going to make passive play in Legendary Tier exponentially worse? Is it going to make it slightly worse, or do you think it's not going to do a single thing to change? Do you think it's just not going to do anything? It's just going to have no impact? Because I think this boat have incredible impact on the game, because we had boats like Colombo which encourage aggressive play because you can smoke up, you have that disengagement, you're relatively fast, you've got 16 guns. I think you've got a long reload, but you could always you can do a lot of work with Colombo. Colombo's a very good boat. But you can do a lot with it, simple as that, and you can be quite aggressive with it because you've got the sap secondaries, you've got the potent broadside, which Vermont does also have, but you've got the speed and the smoke for disengage. So I think that was a nice, refreshing boat to have at Legendary Tier. It was something different, something unique. Vermont is something different and something unique, but I think, considering the boat we had last campaign, was it Christmas? Yeah, Christmas. We had the Ohio coming in. Bear in mind, the Ohio was a limited event, so I don't really feel as bad, because like those people who didn't get the Ohio will now have the option to get the Vermont instead. So that's nice, but I do think we should have got something different. Maybe Kremlin. I think Kremlin is a good option. Hindenburg would be a good option too. Yeah, there's tons of boats we could have had instead of the Vermont, and I think that would have been better. But yeah, I'm grateful Vermont has come, but I'm really worried now. Also, this was which would be my Kraken here. It's very difficult. You can see we tried it. We were so close, and we just made that Brisbane incredibly soaking wet with the splash of the water or the shells. Fortunately for us, he does indeed hit this sinking boat. So we're going to see what we can do here. This is where you really had to adjust. 4-second lead time, I've got no excuse here. I really should kill him here. Looks good. And 6 overpens. We have the final shell here, please. And this guy's going to kill him. No. And we have a long reload, so it's going to be really rough if we manage to finish this off. 12 seconds till a reload. And it looks like he's going to either burn out or they're going to kill him, which is going to be denying a Kraken. So a little bit upsetting. But hey, it was an interesting game. We pushed in. We pushed slowly, aggressively. Overall, I think we played quite passive for this whole game. We did okay, not like a crazy high score game, but there you go. So yeah, well, let me know. Do you think Ohio is going to make Legendary Tier really passive? Or do you think it's going to do nothing? Or whatever, let me know in the comments below. Be civil to each other and have a lovely day, guys. See you next time. Bye for now.